Have you ever tried a productivity hack or system and it works for a few days, but after that point you're back to square one, being unfocused, getting distracted constantly, being overwhelmed, and you're drowning in even more tasks than before? Well, the truth is you don't need another productivity system or hack. What you need is a simple flow state system that forces you into flow state whenever you want to, so you can work less on your business but earn more money online. Because you're scientifically proven to be 500% more productive inside of a flow state compared to any other system hack that you can find. And this hasn't just worked for me, it's worked for over 100 entrepreneurs that I've given it to. And so in this video I'm going to share the simple flow state system that allows you to enter flow state for around 6 hours a day, put half your work hours but 2 times the money you make online. So literally right after this video you can implement it and get the results straight away. Okay, let's dive in. So the very first thing we need to go over is why you can't actually focus right now on your business and why you can't actually enter flow state. Because if you tried to implement the system I'm about to go over in just a second, you would fail miserably. Because the average entrepreneur works 14 hours a day, barely gets any results, and wonders why he's not making any money. Then you have the other entrepreneurs, the top 1% of entrepreneurs who are making all of the money. They work 6 hours a day while their business runs without them. The reason why they can achieve this isn't down to a business strategy or a different funnel. It's down to a strategy on how they work. Because the thing is, you have multiple different things stopping you from entering flow state right now as I speak, and these are something called flow blockers. Okay, flow blockers are basically just things that stop you from reaching a flow state. So it could be poor sleep, it could be poor focus, it could be distractions while you're working. And so the first goal we want to hit, if we want to actually be able to use the system and be able to enter flow state on command, is we need to be able to remove these flow blockers from our life. Because if we don't do this, it's going to be very hard to even enter flow state for 1 minute. And I know that probably sounds super confusing, but to be honest, it's super easy. All you need to do is first identify what flow blockers you have inside of your life. Now this can be poor sleep, like I said, it could be distractions, it could be a high dopamine baseline, and you could just guess to yourself and ask, okay, well maybe I'm facing a sleep problem because I have poor energy. But the thing is, it can be a million different things. You could have a poor diet, you could have a very high dopamine baseline, could literally just be mental resistance stopping you from reaching a flow state, right? And so what we want to do is go through this mini step, and it's something called Socratic questioning. Socratic questioning is a problem solving method created by someone called Socrates. You probably know this guy. Is like asks why over and over again, but basically that's all you're doing, right? You have the big problem you're facing and you just simply ask yourself why over and over again until you get to the root cause of the problem, and that's the problem you should be able to solve and get rid of. And the reason why you want to do that is because you could start with a sleep problem, but it really could just be like what you're doing in the morning or what you're doing right before bed, right? And so you would waste all this time trying to fix things that don't need fixing. So once you find a core issue, honestly it's very simple to solve it. Like 80% of solving a problem is just understanding what the problem is. Because once you understand what it is, it's very simple to change it, right? Like for example, if you find you always get distracted by your phone and that's not the root cause of your distraction, you can just move your phone from your environment, right? It's very simple. And now if you do this properly, this should only take you like 30 minutes to 1 hour, but honestly it can take longer depending on how many flow blockers you have. But I just want you to do that first before you move on to the system, because it will make accessing flow state so much easier. And so just before I move on to the system, I just want to say, if you're an entrepreneur making 4 figures per month and you're struggling to scale to 5 or even 6 figures online, and you want to be able to enter flow state on command so you can work less but also earn more, click the first link in the description or the pinned comment to join my free community. Now let's finally go into the flow state system, and I just want to preface this by saying you do not want to try to get into a flow state for around 6 hours a day straight away, because what this will do is you'll just simply burn out. Being in a flow state requires the most energy compared to any other state on the planet, right? And so it's much better to implement flow state slowly into your life, so maybe start with the morning, afternoon, and then evening sessions, right? But how do you actually enter flow state? Like, is there a method you can use to enter flow state, right? Well, there is, and what you're going to see on screen is actually a flow state cycle. Now, flow state follows a 4-stage cycle that you can actually tap into and understand while you're going through it, right? So you have struggle, release, flow, and recovery. Struggle is basically just when you're facing a challenge inside of a task and like you just don't want to do it, and you push yourself through that challenge, right? So it usually lasts around 15 minutes, but it can last longer depending on the type of task you're doing and your focus capacity. Release is basically just when you take like a 5 or 10 minute break from the task you're doing, right? So it could literally just be staring at a wall or staring at a ceiling for 5 minutes, then getting back to work. Now the reason why this is so good is because it allows your brain to lower the cortisol levels and also just reduce the overwhelm and the stress created by all the work you've just been doing, right? Then after that 5 minute break, you're going to get back to work, and this is when you're going to actually enter flow state automatically, basically. And this is going to be when you're 500% more productive, the task feels effortless to do, and time starts to speed up when you're working. And then finally we have recovery. Now recovery is simply when you recover the neurochemicals for focus and flow state again. So there's 2 types of recovery, and I usually do talk about this in every single video I make just because it's so important, but you have 2 types of recovery. You have active recovery and unstimulating recovery. Active is when you're doing movements, unstimulating like you guessed it, is when you're doing nothing, right? You're just existing, like you're meditating, you're just doing breath work, for example. Now I like to do active recovery just because it's a bit more fun than just staring at a wall for like half an hour, but you can do either or. And this is basically what you do inside of a flow state session. You go through struggle, release, flow, and recovery, and what you do is you just repeat that throughout the entire day, and that's when you'll be able to get into a flow state. And once you do that, you'll notice like the first time you do it, it's not that efficient. Like you slip in and out of flow state, and that's normal because it's the first major time you've tried to get into a flow state like consciously, right? You've probably been in flow state before, but you just haven't really thought about it. And to make this morning flow state session super simple, something you can start doing is getting to work as soon as you wake up. I know this sounds a bit crazy, right? You think these people are crazy for doing that, but the thing is, when you wake up, your sleep waves, the brain waves inside your brain, like alpha and theta, are very similar to the flow state brain waves, which are delta and theta. And so what you're doing is you're basically going from sleep straight into flow state, just because it basically is a parallel. And now when you wake up, 30 minutes after you wake up, this is when your cortisol, like your focus, your awakeness levels, are also the highest. And so it's the best time to work. It's like the most optimal time to focus on your work. And so if you get to work like 3 hours after you wake up, just try doing that, and I guarantee you'll be able to enter flow state basically automatically. And if you start to implement that in the morning, afternoon, and evening, what you notice is you get into flow state pretty regularly, and it's very easy to do a lot more work and finish your workday a lot faster. And the last thing I want you to start doing, and this is like a post flow state activity, I want you to start reviewing each flow state session, because if you can understand the emotions, the feelings you feel at the end of every single flow state session, you'll start to understand when you're actually in flow and when you're not, and it will make it so much easier to enter flow state. So this could be you after every single flow state session, just writing down what you experienced, what you felt, and also any distractions you faced, and what you could do better in your next flow state session. So it's basically just like a review, so you can actually improve it over time. Now, if you do all of this, you will have a very good flow state ability, and you'll be able to enter flow state on command whenever you want to. And like I said in the video, if you're an entrepreneur who's making 4 figures online and you want to be able to scale to 5 or even 6 figures per month, click the first link in the description to join my free community, where you get a free flow state course and a free coaching call with me. Okay, an amazing day. Peace.